We're all human. And it's important to know that doctors are people, too. Doctors have emotions, they have passions in life and hobbies, and they enjoy participating as active members in the communities where they practice medicine. Doctors have families, friends, and relationships, while the latest in healthcare and the most current treatments for ailments will be topics on this Doctors Are People Too radio TV show. The focus will be in learning more about the interesting aspects in a physician's life and what they do away from the doctor's office or operating room table.
Hello, South Florida, and welcome, South Florida and beyond, and globally on the iHeartRadio app. Welcome to Doctors Are People Too. ... Today is Monday, July 18th. First, I just wanted to let you know a little bit about myself, so you know who's leading you on this discovery voyage into the world of physicians providing health care to you and I, our family members and friends. My name is David DiPino, and I'm a public relations and marketing specialist. I've been writing professionally actually since 1999. I'm a native South Floridian, actually from the town of Jupiter, so a little bit north of here. I've written articles published in over 50 monthly, weekly, and daily newspapers and on their websites. Today I work in PR, like I said, and I write locally for BocaNewspaper.com and DelrayNewspaper.com. Listeners, if you want to have your doctors on the show, it's really easy. Email me, D, and then my last name, DIPINO, @gmail.com. It's hard to believe because it has happened so quick, but actually this is my 11th show. And last week we had a nice conversation with Dr. Kimberly Casey Cohen, a surgical oncologist and hepatopancreatic biliary surgeon. I've practiced that one a few different times. So she's over in actually down in Hialeah and with a new office in Coral Gables. And we also, for the second half last week, had Dr. Raul Perez Vasquez. He's actually my internal medicine physician, and so an internist, my primary care physician. So we got to talk a lot about the way he's helped me with weight loss over the last year. And now I want to send a warm Doctors Are People to welcome to Dr. Andrew Agado, and he'll have to help me if I butchered the last name.
It's pretty close.
I probably did.
It's all good.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's pronounced Aguado, but
Aguado.
It's
you told me
six
that
and a half
beforehand.
dozen.
I
It's
still
totally
missed
okay.
it. Yeah, so let's get right into it. I was looking online. Actually, Dr. Aguado. Good?
Nicely done.
There we go.
Very nicely done.
So Dr. Aguado, I actually saw his brother, Dr. Landon Aguado, a few years ago. I was actually a chef in the Delray Beach area. Had a knee problem from going down and shuffling my feet, squatting into the coolers. I actually worked at the Office Restaurant downtown Delray, so very busy. 1,000 dinners on the weekend. So long story short, I was having this left knee problem. I didn't really want to go to orthopedic surgeon or sports medicine specialist. Over a year, he cured it. I don't know how he did it, but one time he had 13 different spots that he did acupuncture. I
totally believe it.
So I was looking at your profile, and you're actually an AP and DOM. Can you tell me kind of what that stands for?
Sure. AP is an acupuncture physician, and a DOM is a doctor of Oriental medicine. The state of Florida recognizes us as primary care with specifics saying that we're not MDs unless you went to school to become an MD. But now they have PhD programs, they have master's programs. So the AP-DOM is an acupuncture physician and a doctor of Oriental medicine. Acupuncture itself is just the use of those finely, thin needles inserted in specific points for a stimulation process. But Oriental medicine as a broader title includes Oriental homeopathic therapies as well as herbal therapies, all combined together under that same umbrella of Oriental medicine. So we don't just really practice with just acupuncture. There are homeopathics, there are herbal therapies, there are allergy elimination techniques that have no involvement of needles whatsoever that we can use on emotional, standpoints. So it really is a big, broad spectrum that says that we can treat almost anything. Almost anything.
And when you say needles, first thing my wife, family, and friends said, "Oh, you're gonna get needles," But these are obviously they're clean needles. I think they're opened right in front of you, kind of thing. Can you explain that?
I actually brought.
Cool.
Just in case.
We have video here.
Yeah, this kind of helps. But every one of the needles is single. They're one-time use. So you'll see the acupuncturist pull back itself and then remove this little tube. And then I don't know if the camera can actually see it well enough. But
yeah, I can actually see it there on the screen.
Inside that tube, you have a little stopper that would get removed. And then the needle itself, it's not a hypodermic needle. This is a filiform needle. It's solid. So there's nothing special on the needle. In fact, it's so flimsy and thin that just going like that and it bends completely. So the needle itself doesn't do anything special. The needle itself doesn't have anything on it, and you'll never see an acupuncturist reuse a needle in the U.S. It's just against the law. But it's just used to stimulate a point, versus acupressure, which could be just with a finger to stimulate a point with a very strong pressure. This is done without you feeling any pain. So relatively painless. Sometimes you'll feel like an ant bite. Other times you won't feel anything.
Now, is the alcohol swab have to be put on the skin beforehand? Okay, that's done as well?
There's universal precautions, and no matter what, you have to adhere to the, adhere to those. But yeah, no matter what, everyone's going to be swabbed with an alcohol. Everything is sterile techniques, clean fields. It's pretty strict in the U.S. when it comes to, the usage of acupuncture. That's why, in some states they allow physical therapists to do it, and they're trying to get away with that. They're trying to do away with that. So it's only somebody that's trained in acupuncture, so you limit the amount of, discrepancies that may take place.
And I could be a testimonial for acupuncture because, like I said, I haven't had it over for a year. The only reason I stopped, I think Dr. Landon moved to Boca, and I was stuck in that little downtown Delray Beach area where there's everything. I never got out, but I'm out now. Let me ask you where your office is located.
Sure. We're in Boca Raton. Actually, that's the office that Dr. Landon wound up going to. It's 1601 Clintmore, which is just west of Military on Clintmore. It's a really big medical facility. And the nice thing about it is it's a multidisciplinary office. So you have chiropractic, you have massage, you have acupuncture, you have physical therapy. And the way that we kind of promote ourselves is that there's a lot of people out there that think their modality is the only one you need. If it's acupuncture, there are acupuncturists that think this is all you need and that's all you'll ever need. There are chiropractors that say if you have a flu, just go to a chiropractor, that's all you need. We kind of say honor each piece of the pie for what it's good for. When you combine the therapies, we kind of look at it as what we call CAM therapy, as complementary alternative medicine. So we're recognized as primary care, but in calling a spade, if your situation calls for something a little bit different, we're going to refer you to that difference, let them focus on what they specialize on. We focus on what we specialize on, and then the patient responds better than anything else. And that's really, I think, the ultimate way to kind of do healthcare nowadays.
Wow, that's a great explanation.
Did that sound rehearsed? It was a little bit. I don't know.
That was awesome. I was like, wow, he's right on. This guy, I could talk to him for hours. It's easy. So I'm going to give out Dr. Andrew Aguado's information out. So he is in Boca Raton at 1601 Clintmore Road, Suite 182. That's obviously here in Boca Raton. Website is bocaimed.com. So BOCAIMED.com. And the number is 561-939-0430, or you can email him like I did, Andrew Aguado. That's Andrew and then AGOADO at gmail.com. And he's going to get right back to you because he did with me. Now, you've really been great with, we talked all weekend long.
Yeah, no, it's very enjoyable conversations.
And one of my goals with this show was to have an acupuncturist on and a chiropractor in the future, so you may have to help me with that.
I would love to. Because
I think general listeners of the show love to ask some questions about, chiropractor.
That's my biggest thing. My biggest thing is getting out there and letting people know what we can help with, what we can't help with. I think a lot of people they kind of have this illusion of what acupuncture can do because they saw a Steven Seagal movie and he had acupuncture needles on him with incense on the end of it and suddenly came out of a coma. It's not really like that, but as a piece of the puzzle, there's a lot that we can take care of. And I think the more people that understand what we can do and how we can help will kind of welcome that into their health regiment as well. Because prevention is 10 times better than any cure, so to speak.
And I can speak to that. That's what I'm doing is preventative medicine. I've just gotten into it the last few years of my life, and it's really helped me out. I'm going to give listeners the number. It's 1-888-565-1470, and you can call in and talk to Dr. Aguado, and you can do the best to, answer any questions you have right now. Or I see here that do you offer a consultation to patients kind of to meet you and learn
absolutely.
The questions I'm asking?
I don't know if we're going to get as in-depth with those questions as I'd like to, and I'm a talker, so Lord knows I'm going to want to kind of go into more and more information. But even if it's just to find out if we can help or how we can help or what we can help with. Some people will call in and they have a very complex situation and they want to know, can we work on them? Mm-hmm. I would say 8 or 9 times out of 10 the answer is yes, but it may not be what you think. It may be that we can just reduce some pain levels while one of the other doctors handles what they do best. So really, again, piece of the pie. The only thing we really don't treat across the board is the heart. Just the electrical components of the heart, mechanical components of the heart, but blood pressure, things relating to cardiovascular health we can definitely treat and help with. But again, not so much the actual heart itself. Refer to the cardiologist. That's how we gotta do things. So I make the joke that says if you go to an acupuncturist when you got a bone sticking out of your arm, you probably should have gone to the psychiatrist. So we can't help you in the bone sticking out of the arm. But have the doctor put it back in place, and we can help you heal faster. We can help you with the pain management of it. We can help you be stronger afterwards. So again, right time, right place, right circumstance.
Yeah, I saw that on your website that, if you can't treat the patient, you're going to work with them to get them to a specialist, a
Absolutely.
Cardiologist, neurologist, or that kind of.
100%.
And we have about 3 minutes till our first commercial break here. And I got to ask you this question because people are driving around and they want to know, does health insurance cover acupuncture, and how does that work?
The number one question, I got to tell you, across the board, every time I talk to somebody, most insurance companies have coverage for acupuncture. It's whether or not the individual's plan has the coverage. And I tell everybody, if you're not sure, you can call your insurance company or call my office. My office will verify any insurances and find out what your benefits are, what's covered, what's not covered. There are times when someone may have acupuncture coverage just to treat a specific body part and not to treat others. And this is all things that we should kind of find out before we start administering treatment, so we kind of know what it is that we have to work with. But as a broad answer, yeah, acupuncture coverage is out there on almost all the insurance companies.
And I was surprised to find that out. A few years ago, I was a reporter for a newspaper, and actually it was covered. I had no idea. So you can call Dr. Aguado's office at 561-939-0430 or go to bocaimed.com, and you'll be able to find some info there. We got about a minute here, minute and a half. I wanted to ask you, I had read, is acupuncture available for children or pets, or is there?
Yeah, there is. There are specialists, and that's where we really, can I treat a child? Absolutely. Am I a specialist in treating children? Not a chance. So I will very quickly and easily refer to somebody who is. When it comes to pets, you actually have to be licensed as a veterinarian first in the state of Florida. You have to be a doctor of veterinary medicine and then go into school for Chinese medicine in order to do it. You can't do it the opposite way, which a lot of people think. So if your veterinarian offers traditional Chinese medicine, know that they probably did both. Legally, they have to, at least in Florida.
Well, you're giving us a wealth of information here. I had no idea about that. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And now we probably got a minute, but we can talk about this a little bit more on the other side. I want to talk a little bit about how acupoints work. Obviously, you went through a lot of training and education for this.
Acupoints are fun. How they work. It's probably going to bring us into the next
Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a
but
commercial now, and we'll be right back on the other side.
Sure thing.
With Doctors Are People Too, with Dr. Andrew Aguado, acupuncture physician.
Hi, my name is Dr. Rahul Agarwal. I'm an interventional cardiologist in Jupiter, Florida. I did my medical school at the University of Florida and my internship and residency at the same program. I did my chief residency also at Shands, and then did my cardiology and interventional cardiology at Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I specialize in general cardiology, interventional cardiology, and nuclear cardiology. Even though I'm an interventional cardiologist, the majority of my practice involves general cardiology. General cardiology is a pretty broad spectrum in that it involves rhythm problems such as atrial fibrillation, heart disease such as coronary disease, congenital heart disease, high blood pressure, and cholesterol problems. I do procedures such as cardioversions, which involve trying to convert the patient back to a normal rhythm if they have an arrhythmia. Also deal with plumbing problems such as the coronary arteries, which if they're blocked, I can do angioplasty and stents, which involves balloons that open up the arteries. And these stents act as scaffolds that keep these arteries open. I really do believe in preventive medicine, and one of the areas that I really focus on is diet. One can really get caught up on the pills aspect and the exercise. And diet we talk about a lot, but unless one really has some guidance as to where to go with diet, it can be quite difficult. So I do give my patients homework in terms of books or movies that they can rent or obtain so that they can get educated. Our cardiology office is located in the Abacoa area of Jupiter, Florida, conveniently located between two of the local hospitals. We provide echocardiography, stress testing, ultra monitoring, and general cardiology office visits. We really pride our practice in its staff, who are very courteous and professional. We believe that under our care, you'll feel the same way too.
You are listening to Doctors Are People Too with David DiPino, who shows us the human side of medical doctors in the community. If you have a question for our guest, call into the show at 888-565-1470. Now, let's get back to the fun side of doctors and show that they are people too.
We're back, and I want to get right back into it with Dr. Andrew Aguado, acupuncture physician, here in Boca Raton, Clintmore Road, 1601 Clintmore Road, Suite 182. He told us BocaImed.com, telephone number's 561-939-0430. And I was asking Dr. Aguado right before the break, how does acupuncture work and what is an acupoint? But I want to add a little to that about how do when the needles are pushed in the skin in different zones near nerves, how do they work to treat the body's ailments?
Okay.
Big question there.
Big questions, yeah, with a lot behind them. I think it's just easiest to kind of wrap your head around how acupuncture works and what it does, and that kind of facilitates what each point does. The points themselves they're all basically part of a meridian. If you've maybe seen some of the posters in the office, there are meridians that are running up and down the body. And I usually give the analogy kind of like a highway, if you picture a highway of energy. When there's an accident on the highway, let's say we're in Boca now, we're heading up to West Palm, and there's an accident at Boynton. Well, as you're traveling north then at that accident, that traffic is blocked. Now, everything after that accident is going to be empty. Everything before that accident is going to be built up. You've got tons of traffic. And then whatever the exit is beforehand has this overflow taking place. So those acupoints are basically areas of the body where there can be a blockage. By stimulating those points, you can sometimes help course traffic or deter traffic and open up that blockage. So in Chinese medicine, a lot of what we do is based on what we call a pattern differentiation. That's the diagnosis that we do. It's not so much where we need the diagnostic imaging or the testing to figure out how to treat you. It's based somewhat on your symptoms, and then somewhat it's based on things that we see while looking at you, while doing an evaluation. When we develop that pattern, it tells us basically what to treat. And by treating the pattern, everything that you have going on will respond, just maybe slower than if we just treated the symptom. So I tell people that treating a symptom, you have pain somewhere, we put needles locally by that area, the symptom will get better. It's not going to last that long. Versus us treating the root cause of why the symptom came about to begin with. The symptom may not get better as quickly, but as it gets better, that will also last longer. So there's, a double-edged sword on each side, but the actual points themselves are areas that throughout thousands of years of, trial and error, when we think about 5,000 years ago, how this all got started, I guess, if you've ever scratched your arm and you realize that, wait, I feel that up here. That's so weird right now. Or you scratch your leg and you feel it on your back. There's a connection of the body. So Chinese medicine in its entirety is a form of holistic medicine. And holistic medicine has the theory of holism. It's the body as a whole. So that's why we could put a needle in your ankle that will treat your back pain. And people are like, well, how does that make any sense? If you understand how the energy is supposed to travel, you can either course energy away or draw energy to. Just to elaborate a little bit more, because I like to talk.
We like that, doctors.
The needle itself, like I was showing you before, there's nothing special with it. So the body doesn't really know the difference between that needle or a knife or a metal shard or a splinter. It just says that a piece of metal has entered the skin. Call all cars, send the body's immune response specifically to that area. Why we choose certain areas, that's based a little bit more on the Chinese medicine of what each point does. But for the most part, that's where a lot of times if there's a problem in the arm, we're going to do, needles by the arm. But the underlying cause, if we feel that the pattern is best treated with other points, we'll put the needles in other points.
And these treatments can help with things like digestive issues.
Oh, yeah. It's almost comical, just because we have people that come into the office on such a rare regular basis that in the morning I'll be treating somebody for diverticulitis or some kind of GI issue. Middle of the afternoon, I have a young woman coming in who called me earlier today, actually, just to say that she's pregnant, and we were working on fertility, and she was told that she was never going to be able to have children. So the spectrum of what we can treat is massive.
And then also psychological disorders to an extent.
Yeah.
I think we talked about now addiction. Like how does it work with addiction? It's something, and I think I want you to also answer on the end of that is tell the listeners kind of, this is not going to be something that you go in the office one time.
Right.
I think I went to Dr. Landon Aguado for a year to help my knee out, and it totally worked. So it's a series of treatments, correct?
Absolutely. And it's very hard to predict how many treatments you're going to need. And that's what a lot of people come in and it's like, how long is it going to take? The truth is we can't say. I mean, we can kind of guesstimate based on how long you've been dealing with something. But if somebody comes in and they're 55 years old and they're dealing with whatever GI issues that they've had for 30 years, they've had it for 20 or 30 years, it took 50 years to get to where they are, and then they think I can undo it in 5 treatments, something like that. But we can hit it from each avenue. We hit it from the homeopathic side. We hit it from the acupuncture side. We hit it from the herbal side. Sometimes the chiropractic is necessary. Sometimes the physical therapy is necessary. And then when you realize that everything is a piece of the pie, that's when you really start to see responses. So just because you have like 7 questions in there, so I'm trying to remember what each one was. I'm known to do
that. I'd overdo it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So yes, we treat a lot of addiction, psychological disorders, and again, the whole idea is if we can understand the pattern. So let's say you came in for addiction or John Smith came in for an addiction. We may do some of the points similarly that are there as a patented protocol, if you will, specifically for addiction, which a lot of the addiction therapy places, specifically in South Florida, a lot of them employ acupuncturists specifically for that protocol, which is about 5 needles in the ear. But then there are other body points that we would do specific for the person's pattern. And that's where it really comes down to. So if you treat the symptom, you can have thousands of symptoms. You can only have so many different, parameters of this pattern that we develop. So that's why it's really customized to an individual for whatever they're coming in with. And then when you incorporate the herbal therapy, herbs are food. That's really it. So there's nothing that we do that the body doesn't do on its own. We can either speed it up, slow it down, or stop it. That's really it. If the body is normally doing one thing and we want to kind of change gears and bring energy towards another area, the body only has so much energy to kind of work with.
Now,
if that answered all your questions, I don't know.
Yeah, we went
a little bit.
We're
right?
now number
Zooming.
17 questions.
Yeah. 17
down. Now, I want to give your info again and give the number out to the show too. First of all, the number to Doctors Are People too is 1-888-565-1470. We have a few more minutes left with Dr. Andrew Aguado, acupuncture physician, here in Boca Raton, 1601 Clintmore Road, Suite 182, and at bocaimed.com, and on the phone at 561-939-0430. I want to throw this kind of curveball question at you.
Do it. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this. Have you ever done acupuncture on yourself?
Yes.
Wow.
Not recently,
Really?
I'll be honest with you. Not recently.
It's not something you do on an everyday basis.
You know
like
what?
Wake
Because
up and...
as healthcare providers, we're always trying to help everybody else, and we never think about ourselves. I mean, that's just the truth of it. But I'm also very fortunate that I work with my brother. So when there is, we both train in a pretty aggressive style of martial arts, and whenever we kind of beat ourselves up too much, the next day we're on each other's table like, hey, can you help me with this, that, that, this? And he's like, yeah, if you can help me with this, that, and the other thing. So in school as a student, you kind of learn from yourself first, and you practice on yourself so you can kind of see what patients are going to feel like, and you go through the same coursework with a whole bunch of other students at the same time. It's kind of like law school, where you would start with one group, you're with them for the next 3 or 4 years. Well, that's kind of how the Chinese medicine schooling was. So I would be working on the same people for, let's say, the first 2 or 3 years before I was even able to touch a patient. and then that had to be overlooked by the doctors that are, running the clinics. So it was slowly but surely welcoming everybody in, but you got to kind of go through the trenches yourself and you see what it feels like, so you're not aggressive when you're putting a needle in. You want to kind of understand what everybody's going to be feeling.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah,
you
there are
gotta
some
know.
points I hate. I'll be honest with you, and I'll have to tell patients, like, listen, this one you're going to feel a little bit of a pinch. I don't like it either, but just go to your happy place, and I'll ask them a question. The needle goes in there, like, that was it? I'm like, all right, so you're tougher than I was. I'm sorry, but this is like my least favorite point.
I think once I had 13 in, and Dr. Landon told me that, but I didn't believe him because you're in there, you're laying down, and it's very peaceful. The setting's important as well. I mean,
absolutely.
I almost I never fell asleep, but I almost went to this trance. I would see different very relaxed, super relaxed.
You know what? That's actually, it's weird because a lot of people think that acupuncture is great is for just relaxation, and they don't realize that by you relaxing, it's actually a sign that the acupuncture is working. It's not the opposite way. You have to think that everyone thinks that acupuncture is great for stress. The question is, what's the stressor? Is it physical, is it chemical, or is it emotional? And once you can figure out what the stressor is and you treat that stress, the body's response of that stress being sedated, if you will, is to feel that sedation. It's to feel that relaxation, in the midst of everything. And you're thinking to yourself, how is it I've got 15 needles in me and I feel more relaxed than I've ever had from any massage? If we can open up those pathways of energy and get rid of those blockages, sky's the limit.
Now, how many years of training did you go through to become an acupuncture physician? Is this, like you said, similar to a path for, a Juris Doctorate degree you were saying before or something like that?
There are, sorry, here's radio.
I hit the cough button.
Yeah,
there
thanks. I did it's a 4-year postgraduate program that's condensed into 3 years. The school is actually down here in Fort Lauderdale. It's called ATOM. It's the Atlantic Institute of Oriental Medicine. It's ATOM. It's where a lot of the South Florida acupuncturists get training, and it's the first school on the East Coast to get the PhD program for traditional Chinese medicine. So in that coursework, it's postgraduate. You have to come there with whatever your prerequisites were. You wind up walking out of there with a master's degree in traditional Chinese medicine. And it gives you a good foundation to start. Whatever you're going to do afterwards is really where people get their techniques, their NICU in China, if you have anything going on, whether it's upper respiratory or whether it's musculoskeletal. And you'll see a lot of the athletes, pro basketball players, and when their jersey moves to the side and you see how it has that circular suction kind of bruise that's left over, that's from a cupping.
I have seen that.
Yeah. It's awesome. The way that it works is a couple of different theories. All it basically is a vacuum. Now, back in the day, they used to take cotton with some alcohol, ignite it, put it in a glass jar, rapidly put that jar on your skin, and it would cause a vacuum because the fire just pulled all the oxygen out. Nowadays, in Florida and land of the lawsuit, we try not to put fire on people. So we just have these little suction cup kind of cups that facilitate the same process, just causing suction. The theory behind it is that basically two fluids can't occupy the same space at the same time. So with that circulation of energy that I was talking about on a highway, if it's not just energy, but let's say it's blood. Let's say blood is a lot easier for people to wrap their mind around inside the human body than just a chi, if you will. But if there's blood that's stuck, because let's say the circulation has been restricted, whether it's a pinched nerve or whatever you have going on, but by us doing the cupping and pulling up the old blood, it allows the new blood to come in underneath. Now, from a different perspective, it's going to leave a bruise. And if you think about what happens when you get a bruise, the outside of the bruise starts getting eaten away first, right? It's all black and blue, and then the outside turns this greenish yellow, and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. That's blood, constantly new blood, being brought to that area to break down the old blood. So you're constantly sending blood that's oxygenated, that's new, to that area, which brings a therapeutic response. There's a little bit more to go into as far as like pulling up heat and whatever is left inside, but it is probably one of the number one things that people come in for that are athletes. Athletes are all about acupuncture, but they want the cupping because it's like their muscles loosen. They have rejuvenated cells going to their back on a regular basis.
Amazing.
Really cool.
And Dr. Aguado, I got to thank you. I can't thank you enough. Will you come back in the future and be on the show?
To. This was great. I'm so glad that you got in touch with me.
Great. So Dr. Andrew Aguado here on Clintmore Road. It's bocaimed.com. And we're going to take a break. And on the other side, Dr. David Wiseman, a cardiac electrophysiologist, is calling an electrician of the heart.
Yeah, really.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I make a dinner for me and my girlfriend. We ate, we enjoyed. The dinner was very good. She was ready to go to sleep. I said, okay, I'm going to stay on the couch a little bit to watch TV. I started to feel something in my throat, like I was choking. And all this other, I feel the pain, the sharp pain, like somebody put a knife in your back and open and do like this. That was when I called my girlfriend. I said, you have to take me to the hospital. I couldn't die. When they were doing the test, they saw something was weird. My valve was ripped. I said, God, please help me to get out of this. Dr. Valle was on call. He was who performed my surgery. I described like an angel. I described like he was there to do that for me. My girlfriend, my son, he told me when they saw him getting out from the operation room, he was sweating. He was tired to be there for 10 hours. For me, it's unbelievable. I can walk, I can exercise a little bit, and I can drink red wine, that light red wine. Of course, 1 glass or 2 glasses. I see the life different. And I want to see my granddaughter to grow and my son to get old. So I wanna live. I think that God gave me one more chance in life, and I had to take advantage of this.
You are listening to Doctors Are People Too with David DiPino, who shows us the human side of medical doctors in the community. If you have a question for our guest, call into the show at 888-565-1470. Now, let's get back to the fun side of doctors and show that they are people too.
And we're back on Doctors Are People Too on iHeartRadio. And this is something I've been waiting a long time for. Dr. David Wiseman's on the line. He's a cardiac electrophysiologist in West Palm Beach, I believe Palm Beach Gardens, and now Delray Beach. Dr. Wiseman, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dave. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy because you have like 3 offices and like 4 hospitals, so I really do appreciate it.
No, absolutely. No problem.
So let's get right into it. Cardiac electrophysiology, a very long title. What is it, and how does it help with the heart in treating patients?
That's one of the most difficult things I have to explain to other people is what I do. Simply put, I'm an electrician. I'm just an electrician for the heart, just like there are people who are plumbers of the heart or carpenters of the heart. I deal with the wiring and abnormal heart rhythms. So anything related to dealing with arrhythmias or heart rhythm problems, I deal with, including things like pacemakers, defibrillators, and my passion, which is cardiac ablation, which is a procedure done to cure heart rhythm problems.
And when you say heart rhythm, is that what we hear? Like a few years ago, I heard for the first time atrial fibrillation, and obviously for short it's AFib, but is that a type of heart arrhythmia? Is that kind of what you're talking about there for like the common listener?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head, actually. That's one of the most common heart rhythm problems, especially here in Florida or South Florida. AFib is rampant and epidemic, but AFib is not the only type. There's many different kinds of arrhythmias. Sometimes people refer to them as fluttering or palpitations or skipped beats or what have you. They're all the same thing. They involve, irregular beating of the top or bottom chambers of the heart, or sometimes both. And they can be really disabling, impair quality of life, and sometimes can even be life-threatening.
Now, I read on your website that one patient described atrial fibrillation as a bird fluttering in her chest. Have you heard that before as well?
Yeah, very, very common. Feel like, some people feel it in that way. Some people feel it more like chest pain even, and they think they're having a heart attack, or they feel really short of breath and dizzy. Every now and then you'll get someone who faints. the symptoms of rhythm problems are not easy to pinpoint sometimes. It's someone who says that they feel like they have a bird fluttering in their chest. It points you a little bit more in that direction, but that's not always the case.
I see. And then also I've seen recently that you've done some work, some of your clinical writing work online, and I really jumped to read that because I'm a writer, and I think you're a great writer. So I've found some of your stuff at eplabdigest.com on developing a protocol, and I'm going to butcher this, Dr. Wiseman, floorless AF ablation. Is that doing an ablation without X-ray? And can you explain a little bit about that if I'm on the right path?
Yeah, no. So basically, in medicine today, we rely as doctors on imaging. In my field, we rely on various different kinds of techniques to image the heart. And when we do procedures like what I do, ablation, we rely or have relied in the past on very high doses of X-rays to achieve what we're trying to achieve, which is get rid of the heart rhythm problem. As cardiologists who put stents in the heart or fix valves and things like that, they will also rely on X-rays to do those procedures. We call that fluoroscopy. So I've really worked hard to develop very specific and unique strategies and techniques to do these procedures without any X-rays whatsoever. Take atrial fibrillation, which you mentioned before. AFib is one of the most common heart rhythm disorders, and to do an ablation for AFib could require an amount of X-rays equal to about 1 to 2 CAT scans worth of X-rays just to do the procedure. And that's only if you did the procedure one time. So the more times you do things, the more X-ray exposure, the patient and the physician can have too. And over time, and we all know about the dangers of X-rays, radiation, you can get skin cancers, all kinds of other solid organ cancers, skin burns. It's just not a good thing. So to be able to do that without exposing the patient to X-rays is really a great thing.
That's great news, Dr. Wiseman. And really something, I just really started going to the doctor recently, the last few years, for preventative medicine, and never really thought of it, but you're not only protecting the patient, but you're also protecting your nurses, your hospital staff as well, and more importantly, yourself, because you're going to be doing, hundreds if not thousands of these procedures in your lifetime, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I've already done thousands of these procedures.
Wow.
And the cumulative exposure over time is significant. Myself, the nursing staff, the other technicians who help us treat these cases, anesthesiologists, nurse anesthetists, and we have to wear or have had to wear heavy leaded aprons. And in addition to the X-rays, those heavy leaded aprons have been known to cause all kinds of orthopedic problems, things like chronic back pains and disc herniations and things like that. So it's gotten down to the point where when I do these procedures, the staff has completely stopped wearing lead in addition to not getting that X-ray exposure. So the environmental benefits are great for everyone.
Yeah, but I read on EP Lab Digest, I think, that you still wear it, though, even though you don't need it anymore.
I'm a chicken. I still, even though I've been doing this for a while now and I haven't had to use any X-rays, there's always that, little guy inside of me who says, "Oh, you got to be careful," and what if? But yeah, I'm the only guy in the room wearing lead. Everyone else is lead free.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your life outside of medicine before we get too clinical here. On the other end, I have a lot of questions for you, obviously, but tell me a little bit about what you do outside of medicine and kind of hobbies and passions in life. I know you're a very busy guy outside of medicine.
Yeah, work definitely takes up a lot of my time. Really my focus right now is I have a very young family. I have 3 young kids and a beautiful wife, and I have 3.5-year-old twins and a 1-year-old son, and all my time really is, involved in my family, and that's very important to me. We spend a lot of time doing activities, going to the beach, learning how to swim, all the kind of stuff that you really miss when you just spend so much time at work and with patients and taking care of patients. And it's actually a good stress relief sometimes too. So that's really kind of where I spend my time these days.
And let me share Dr. Wiseman's info. He's a very approachable, young cardiac electrophysiologist. So we learned that's an electrician of the heart. And he works, closely with different physicians, plumbers of the heart, cardiologists, et cetera. He is a cardiologist, so I just want to put that out there. He's at 1411 North Flagler Drive, Suite 4900. I believe that's the Victor Ferris Medical Building right there in downtown West Palm Beach, right next to, on the campus, Good Samaritan Medical Center. I got the number here is 561-804-9295. And as I mentioned before, and you'll have to just double check on this with me, Dr. Wiseman, you have an office on the campus of Palm Beach Gardens Medical Center and now one on the campus of Delray Medical Center?
Yeah, so we have one on Burns Road, 3375 Burns Road, Suite 101, right across from Palm Beach Gardens. And then I have another office now on Via Delray, and Delray just a few minutes away from the hospital. So I've kind of spread my net, and I feel like I have a lot to offer patients, unique skills and procedures that really aren't being done, and with a very high level of skill and expertise. And it's getting to be very busy, and I'm getting a lot of exposure out there.
And what hospitals are you on staff at?
I'm on staff at Good Samaritan Hospital in West Palm, Palm Beach Gardens Medical Center in Palm Beach Gardens, St. Mary's Medical Center in West Palm, and also now Delray Medical Center.
Wow, 4 hospitals. So you got Palm Beach County covered, Dr. Wiseman. That's great to hear.
Top to bottom.
I don't know if I've had a doctor on in 12 shows that is on staff at 4 hospitals and has 3 offices, but it must be because you're young and you're great at what you do, because I haven't ran into that yet. So that's good to hear.
It's good. It's really something I enjoy and I'm very passionate about, and it's although they seem far apart, they're not really, and I'm just used to working hard and providing good quality care.
So we have about 45 seconds till we take our first commercial break here, and I'm going to talk to Dr. Wiseman on the other side a little bit more about pacemakers and defibrillators and that kind of thing. But once again, I just want to give his info out again. He's gracious to share his time here on Doctors Are People Too. ... So it's Dr. David Wiseman, cardiac electrophysiologist, 561-804-9295, with offices in Palm Beach Gardens, West Palm Beach, and now Delray Beach. Doctor, stay on the line. We're going to take a quick commercial, and I'll have you right back on Doctors Are People Too.
My dad is a cardiologist, and so I have 2 brothers, and we're all equally painful to my mom. And so to get us out of the hospital, we would go on rounds with him on Saturdays and Sundays in the hospital back in Oklahoma City. And we used to, race wheelchairs down the hallways from the time I was about 6 years old. When I was a freshman in high school, I got to watch my first heart transplant. But I think what really kind of made me want to be a doctor was around the holidays. The house always filled up with tons of gifts from thankful patients. And to impact people's lives like that in a positive manner was something that was very exciting to me. I'm very patient-oriented. I care about the patients both professionally and personally, and not only about their result, but also that I'm passionate about new technologies. I'm passionate about research. And I'm passionate about offering them the best technology available with the lowest risk and with the best outcome. What you want in a physician is someone who is personable, works as a team, embraces new technology, is clearly accomplished, but I think most importantly is somebody who you get confidence in. And the way I would have confidence is if I had a condition, I would read as much about it as I could before I showed up, probably off the internet, and then ask very directed questions. I do a lot of exercise. Running is what I use to kind of calm my brain down and kind of sort my thoughts out. So I enjoy, I just will put my shoes on and go for a run, and then I do mix in a little bit of yoga, something probably not many people know about me. I keep that on the down low, but so I do some yoga, and I go to the gym like most people.
You are listening to Doctors Are People Too with David DiPino, who shows us the human side of medical doctors in the community. If you have a question for our guest, call into the show at 888-565-1470. Now, let's get back to the fun side of doctors and show that they are people too.
And we're back on Doctors Are People Too. The number is 1-888-565-1470. We have Dr. David Wiseman here. He is a cardiac electrophysiologist. He told us that's an electrician of the heart here in the Delray Beach area. Also has an office in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Gardens. Number is 561-804-9295. Sorry there, doctor. I'm trying to talk really fast because I have a lot more questions I want to get in. So why do people faint? I wanted to ask you, because I know you wrote a blog on this once. Is that tied into can it be tied into the heart?
Yeah, I mean, fainting is such a huge topic. You can faint for a lot of different reasons that are not really heart-related. I mean, you can become dehydrated or have an illness that may make you get dehydrated and become faint or actually faint. But there are conditions. The most common condition is something we call, in medical terms, vasovagal syncope, which is essentially the common faint, which is an abnormal reflex that develops that causes the blood pressure and heart rate to suddenly drop. And that's what most of the time you see when you see someone cut themselves and they're in severe pain and then they faint, or everyone's probably seen or heard of someone who's gotten their blood drawn and then they suddenly faint. That's vasovagal syncope, which means fainting. But there are also some other heart conditions, abnormal rhythm disorders, which cause a sudden drop in blood pressure, and that can also cause fainting. Some of them are not dangerous, and some of them are. So they just have to be evaluated properly.
Dr. Wiseman, I once, when I was a reporter, interviewed Dr. Fred Love at Bethesda Hospital in Boynton Beach, and he brought me into his office. He had 100 different, I believe they were pacemakers from like the first ones, and I believe maybe the 1950s. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But what is a pacemaker and how does it work? Because I know that's part of your areas of interest.
Well, yeah, pacemakers have been around for years and years and years, and the technology has gotten to be so advanced. The first pacemakers and defibrillators were pretty large. They were implanted in the belly. Pacemakers, just so we're on the same ground, basically are devices that are implanted in the heart, usually underneath the skin with single or multiple wires that are carefully threaded into the chambers of the heart. And a pacemaker, all it essentially does is keep the heart rate from going too slow. So there are a lot of people out there that have very slow heart rates, and it's not a slow heart rate like an athletic heart, like you would expect from a marathon runner or cyclist, but these are people who have slow heart rates that shouldn't be so slow, and these pacemakers essentially help to regulate that and bring the heart rate up for them so that they feel, back to normal.
And also, I'm a novice at cardiac electrophysiology terms, so I have to ask you, I hear it all the time on the news, the defibrillator, I can't even pronounce it there, defibrillator, is that something else that a cardiac electrophysiologist specializes in? And if so, what is that used for?
Yeah, the defibrillator, or, we like to call it ICD, same kind of premise like the pacemaker. It's another implantable cardiac device with wires that go down, threaded into the chambers. You've probably seen a hospital mini TV series or a movie once or twice, and have seen people get shocked externally with paddles. That's an external defibrillator. So what I do is we put in for people who need it or who are at risk or who have had dangerous rhythm problems, this kind of device that can save their life should it ever come up again.
Now, back to atrial fibrillation AFib, are there any new treatments, something that you're doing that's a little different than kind of the past treatments? I read about a convergent procedure. I don't understand too much about it, but believe it's with a surgeon that you team up with. Is that something that you do as well?
Yeah, it's really the best of both worlds. So, for years and years, we didn't have a good treatment for patients who've been in AFib for a long time. So ablation is good treatment for people who go in and out of AFib or who've had it for, a non-extended period of time. But when you look at someone who's been in continuous AFib for more than a year or two, then it becomes quite difficult to treat. So I've gotten really involved with doing hybrid ablations where I team up with a cardiothoracic surgeon. It's a completely minimally invasive technique, and we've had excellent success, great results. Patients are really happy with the results. It doesn't require an open surgery or incision. And at the end of the day, we're able to fix the AFib and get patients back into normal rhythm and improving their quality of life.
Again, I read a testimony. I'm a big-time reader on tfpsdocs.com. It's Tenant Florida Physician Services about a patient who had the convergent procedure recently, and he was saying in the story that he was in the hospital for a little bit of time, a few hours for observation after the surgery, but he was saying that they treated the outside of the heart with this convergent procedure and the inside of the heart. There was no pain, and he walked out of the hospital. I think he said wrote the next day or something. Is that what's going on with that?
Yeah, it's about 48 hours on average. Patients are staying in the hospital afterwards. So a little bit longer than with a normal procedure, but pain-wise, it's really not. It's really minimal, and patients are going home. Like you said, the surgeon is doing a minimally invasive ablation on the outside of the heart, and I'm doing an ablation on the inside of the heart, and that inside-out approach has just shown us really excellent results, and patients are doing really well.
Now let's stay on heart rhythm here. So that seems to be, you're the expert in that. Seems to be a lot of your areas of interest. Can athletes develop heart rhythm problems as well? I mean, I think we've seen that in the past, and I want to say basketball and football and baseball, really a lot of different sports.
Yeah, athletes, absolutely. So, I think Larry Bird was in the news recently saying how AFib has ruined his life or did ruin his life. There's some NASCAR drivers who have AFib, but we've seen that people who exercise a lot, usually endurance type of exercises like marathon running or bicycling, are prone to developing rhythm problems like atrial fibrillation. We don't understand completely why, but it definitely happens. I just had a patient of mine about a week ago who was in his late 20s who came in with AFib from that very thing. He was training for an Ironman. So the prescription I gave him, in addition to the ablation, was to cut back on the amount of training and exercise he was doing. But definitely we see, other athletes who can develop congestive heart failure as well and have needed defibrillators. So it's having a heart condition is not necessarily something just of the old. We see plenty of apparently young, healthy, physically fit people who can develop the same kinds of things as that we would typically think about in just older people.
And we're here with Dr. David Wiseman, cardiac electrophysiologist here on Doctors Are People Too. He's got an office in West Palm Beach Gardens, and now Delray Beach. The number is 561-804-9295. Dr. David Wiseman, WEISMAN.com, or TFPSDOCS, Dr. Wiseman, I have to ask you about your education and training. You were just talking about training with athletes, but can you tell us a little bit about where you went to medical school?
Yeah, I graduated from Mount Sinai in New York City in Manhattan. I did my medical school training there. I I then did my internship in medicine and my residency in medicine, internal medicine, at Wake Forest in North Carolina. And then I did all my cardiology and the cardiac electrophysiology subspecialty training in Philadelphia at Hahnemann University Hospital.
And that's the Drexel College of Medicine?
Correct.
And, yeah, okay. Now, Drexel, I know it from getting in the NCAA tournament basketball. Were you there during their tournament run? And also, do you have any? Are you a sports fan at all? I mean, Philadelphia is a really sports city there.
Oh, no, you're going down the wrong channel there. I'm a New York boy, so Mets fan, Giants fan, that's the way I go. So. Mets fan? We're going to have to end this. Marlins and Mets are tied for the wild card right now, so. I know. I went to the World Series for the first time last year. I went to one of the games when they were playing the Kansas City Royals in the World Series.
Oh, wow. And the Marlins and Mets are playing this weekend here in Miami, so it's a big series. Well, I actually, a quick story, I saw my only World Series game was Roger Clemens. I believe it was his last game with the Yankees, 2003, when the Marlins won the World Series. But, Dr. Wiseman, thank you so much for the time today. Again, it's drdavidwiseman.com. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, David.
All right, have a good day, and join us next week here. Doctors Are People, too. We have a surprise. Patty Villa, the PR manager, is going to be here with Dr. Eric Beyer and Dr. Fernando Bayron. Thank you. That went good.
Thank you for listening and watching Doctors Are People, too, with David DiPino. Join us next week for more in-depth views on what doctors are all about and how they spend their free time. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv. And if you have questions you want answered on the air, call 866-224-5422 and leave a message that can be read on the air.